All right, what in the blue smurf is happening with crypto? Why is Bitcoin breaking down? Why is cryptocurrencies breaking down? What the smurf is going on? Referencing the smurfs here. Everything looks like it's going to zero. It's insane, it's crazy, and I see it, but let's be logical here. Let's be logical and let's see what TA tells us. Let's look at the markets, because look, we've made some pretty good calls on this channel, and I'm gonna stick by those calls, but I wanna provide you some context and tell you what my views are and how things are going to move forward. So let's look at the chart. Let's talk about what we talked about and what our predictions, so to speak, were. And let's see if we were wrong, if we're actually wrong right now, or if this is gonna play out, okay? So let's have a look here. And looking at the factor line, okay, things look like crap. All right, look, we broke our range of support here. We broke the line in the sand. This is line in the sand, no ice cream, may become poor land, and we actually broke under it. And look, we actually said that if we broke under this, next support is over here at 76K. Under that, 69K, even lower down at 56K over here. And yet, this is quite possible. It is possible. Do I think it's gonna happen though? No, I don't. See, look, I understand. Look, I just got into a debate on Twitter with Archie, with Crypto Archie, okay? And look, I get this point of view over here that says unsubscribe to any influencers who keep insisting we're in a bull. And here's my answer to that, okay? Let's read out this answer, this sort of debate, and then I want to talk to you about a few things I am seeing. And look, maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, but you've listened to everybody else. You might as well listen to me and see what I think as well. So my answer is that will include me. And I'm putting my reputation at stake here. I'm putting my reputation out there right now, so you have to at least congratulate me on that part of this reply, okay? I'm putting my reputation out there. I'm not like one of those guys like, yeah, maybe this, maybe... No, I'm telling you my views here, okay? And I go on to say, even though we protected ourselves when we closed under 117,000, that was before the big dump on the 10th of October, although we should have took more profits, we should have protected ourselves more. I never expected the dump to be so fast and so vigorous, but I was expecting a slow bleed down to the low hundreds. But regardless, we went up again. Then I said 112,000 was the line in the sand. And I also made that video before this, even 112,000 was a magic number. I was talking about this even when I made that video disagreeing with Ivan on tech, and again under 100,000 psychological. When this became resistance, I was saying take profits or protect yourself. If you don't have profits, convert or do something, because this is dangerous. And there's a simple play here, right? Under 100,000, you're bearish. Over 100,000, you're bullish, or stay bullish until proven otherwise. And we can see all this play out on the factor line later on if you want. As a matter of fact, the factor line told us to get out at 113,000, and we remained red ever since. Never told us to go back in on the daily over here. So right now we dipped under the line in the sand, but this could still reclaim, and I do believe this, by the way, it's going down too fast. The pattern forming here actually looks like a healthier bottom structure. What do I mean? It does look like it could bottom here. Even if we go down a little bit lower, it does look more like a capitulation, looks more like a bottom than what we previously have seen. We haven't really seen a bottom formation yet. And then remember, death crosses are usually close to reversals when it comes to Bitcoin, not the start of huge downtrends. I put this in there because a lot of people are talking about this death cross, forgetting or not knowing that in Bitcoin, usually a death cross marks a close reversal. When I say a close reversal, I'm talking we could still go down a week, two, maybe even more, but usually we are close to that reversal. It's a lagging indicator, and especially in Bitcoin, more often than not, it's a reversal sign rather than a get out, despair, bear market sign. I just want to make that absolutely clear. If anybody wants to challenge me on that, we can go head to head. I can show you, we can look at charts, we can look at history, fact check me. Go ahead, do it. I dare you, please, go ahead. So I'm saying here, it may not look bullish right now, and it's not, obviously, but this could be the drop we needed or very close to it. We should know soon. Also, remember 30-40% drops in Bitcoin are normal in bull markets. This is another thing I've been shouting all year and last year. We haven't seen a significant drop in Bitcoin. We need a bigger drop. We only got what, a 30%? We typically get 30 to 50% drops in Bitcoin in bull markets. We only had a 30%. Right now, maybe it's 32, 33%. I can't do the math right now, but that's what we're seeing. But this is needed. This is normal in Bitcoin. And yes, I understand there's a lot of news out there. I hear people talking about the investment funds, this, that, yeah, of course, all this news is going to come out as the price is dropping. When the price was stable or going up, none of this news came out, none of this mattered. Everybody turns and looks at news as soon as an event happens. Listen, there's news for the masses, news for the classes. We only get the news for the masses. Forget the news for the classes. We never get that. So why trade off news? I'm not saying Archie does that. He doesn't. He's actually pretty good at what he does. So I have been vocally worried we did not get one this bull market. Now we did. We got the first flush of 30 to 40%. And remember, we can even go down to 50%. Anything about the 73,000 level is still a higher low on higher time frame. This is true. If you go to Bitcoin over here, this is the low that we called, by the way. We actually called we're going to come down here. This is a good call we made. We came down right here all the way to 74, sorry, even lower, 74,434. Anything higher than this is a higher low. Yes, okay, it's pretty close. And look, I'm telling you right now, we will probably come down to this level if we continue going lower and don't reverse soon. We will probably at least see this bounce from here. All right? So yes, this might constitute into a higher low over here. Are we going to challenge lows? Possibly. And yes, if this breaks, I'm telling you right now, this is not good, all right? We'll probably go much lower levels. As a matter of fact, when I made this chart, talking about this chart, I said we could actually come down to these levels. This is the actual support over here, and below that, 65K. But that would be close to a bear market. Yeah, that would be a bear market bottom. I'm looking at the bottom of this bear market, when we get it, 30 to 50K. Maybe 60, but that's where I'm looking, around that level. Too soon to tell. So let's go back to what I've said, and we'll get back to the charts, and we'll talk about my views, and we'll talk about everything in just 1 second. Bear with me, this is important for context. I need to show you context. I can't just tell you this or that right now. I get it, but this is context, and it's important, and it's times like this where you learn, whatever, you learn how to think. So this is very important, so pay attention. So anything above 73,000 still a higher low on a higher time frame, and there are several resistances levels before long-term bullishness, okay? 107,000 is one of them to 109,000. And we'll talk about this in a second because it's very, very important, because this ties into my prediction or part of my prediction. So 88,000 to 90,000 is the first major resistance. This is the resistance we need to break to start breathing again if you're right now on any oxygen tanks or about to get, I don't know, a heart attack, or I don't know, I'm taking oregano pills, whatever I could get my hands on here, okay? I'm just taking any pill. I'm not suggesting you do this, by the way, not medical advice. 100,000 is the next psychological level, okay? Once we break 100,000, this will be paramount. We actually hold above 100,000 is very important. Now, 107,000 to 109,000 long-term is very important, because this might likely be the dead cat bounce territory, and where a larger heads and shoulders would form if we push up from here. So here's why I'm saying that, because here's what I'm expecting. I am expecting some sort of bounce to one of these levels. Each one of these levels will be a dead cat bounce, but if we get the 107,000 to 109,000 bounce, that actually forms a long-term heads and shoulders. Then we have the neckline as a new line in the sand, and if that breaks bear market, expect to stay under there for a long time. But right now, we're seeing these levels. I hope I'm making sense here, okay? Pay attention, I'll show you in the charts in a second so we can make sense of all this drama and what's going on. A clean break below 74,000 would start to look and behave or even be a bear market. This is true because these are the lows that need to hold. So if we break under this and we don't V-shaped recovery fast, that's probably it. We're in a bear market. It doesn't matter how lower the price could go. It could go to 65, it could go to 50, it could stay around. It doesn't matter. We'll probably be in prolonged territory. So it will stay under there for months, 6 months, maybe. We don't know how long the bear market will be. Maybe we have a shorter bear market. I don't want to talk about that in this video, but that would be a bear market. The bears would be having a field day there. The problem, by the way, with bear markets is no one really makes money. Once you're in a bear market and things start to stay like in a range and pumps don't happen, not the bears, not the bulls, no one really makes any money. The bears already made a lot of money. Now, at some point, they run out of steam and there's money to be made on the upside, so bears become bulls, if that makes sense. Now, Archie goes into, and this is a very correct answer, maybe this is semantics, but for me, 2 weekly closes below the 50 weekly SMA confirm a bear market itself. But you're an exception, people should subscribe to you. Well, Archie, let's see. let's see, okay? I've made some great calls up to now. Since 2017, we called tops, we called bottoms, and we called the intra bottoms, the temporary bottoms. Let's see if we get it right now. I might get it wrong. Finally, I will get something wrong. Got a few things wrong, but like 80%. Finally, let's say my long-term sort of view might be wrong, but I'm not making a call here. I'm simply trying to show people something and educate with them in something. And yes, you're absolutely right. Because I went on to say we can talk about this live. Bitcoin is broken under every 50 SMA in the bull market continuation. Regardless, there is a play here, even if it rejects or retests the 200, but still I am calling for one more leg up if it turns out to be a dead cat bounce. Sorry, even if it turns out to be a dead cat bounce. Then I noticed it was talking about the weekly. I went and checked the charts because that's something here I didn't want to just talk out of my head. I'm like, wait a minute. Did I miss something here? And I did, so I wanted to provide further context. So you are right. Historically, Bitcoin rarely loses the 50-week post-halving. But in early and mid cycles, it's quite common as well as before the parabolic phase. We had an earlier top in Bitcoin this time, which I actually called. I said we're going to be topping before the halving, and I called it back then, back when I called this. And yet to see the parabolic phase. I mean, yes, we did go up. We called 15.6K bottom 2 months before it got there. But we didn't get that parabolic phase. We got the uptrend. We did. We went up pretty high, 15.6K all the way to 126,000. That's a very, very good run, but we didn't go parabolic. And I'm leaning to rally the next 1 to 3 months, even if it turns out to be a dead cat bounce. We may see some good returns and I will reevaluate when the time comes. And this is the important part here. So here's what I'm thinking, here's what I'm looking at, okay? First of all, we actually said that the top will be in. I was calling for the top from 130 to 150,000. In some videos, I was saying 120 to 140,000. And I even said 100 to 140,000 by the end of 2024. We got all that, okay? And I even said, and I can show you videos, I will start taking profits around 120 to 130,000. The difference is we didn't see altcoins run. And even though I was saying we are looking at mini alt seasons, this is last year and the year before, mini alt seasons, which is what we got, then a selective alt season. We had a mini selective alt season before the summer, and I was saying we're waiting for one after the summer. And I think if it's going to happen, I actually put a video out, it's now or never. It either happens now or not. Why am I saying this? It's very important here. I am expecting the top to come in, I've been saying this for years, end of 2025, beginning 2026, Bitcoin top. But I'm still expecting a selective altcoin season. What do I mean by selective? Certain narratives, certain select altcoins will run. And I still don't think we got that. Now, do we have to get that? Do we need to get that? No, we don't, obviously not. But I don't think it's gonna be that simple. I think we need to have a run. We need to at least get some sort of dead cat bounce before the end of the market. We didn't really have any signs of the end of the market. at least not conventionally, and I still think a lot of people need to get trapped. This is too easy for the bears. This is too easy for the bears. There's too many people looking at news. There's too many people looking at what's going on with Michael Saylor, doing this, doing news, doing that. And yes, this might be a drop and it might continue going down because of that, but I don't think this is it. I think we're gonna get another run, at least to 100K or 117K. And if any run to any of those previous resistance I gave you fails and closes down below, I'm ready to say, yes, okay, I'm calling a bear market. But until then, this is what looks like a bear market. I was saying we're gonna have what looks like a bear market or a bear market, but I think it's what looks like a bear market. I'm not calling a bear market. I believe we're gonna have a rally. Let's see how high that goes, what kind of feedback, what kind of profits we can take from this rally. Can we protect ourselves to those levels? And that's something I'm trying to do with my group. And that's something I am working on. What is the best strategy in my coaching? What's the best strategy for each person depending on their portfolio? All of that. But the question here is, or the essence here is, I don't think this is over just yet. We're not going straight into a bear market. Even if we go into a bear market, we need more time. We need more confirmation. That is my view. That is what I'm seeing. So, And I get it's a bit all over the place with everything, so let me show you what I'm looking at. Right now, Bitcoin is falling like crazy over here, and chances are it might get to this white line at 78,000 if it doesn't rebound soon over here. This is true. And the truth is we do have one more resistance line that we have to get over, and that's here. Right, at 89,000. But this pretty much falls in with our resistance levels we mentioned earlier on in our Twitter post, right? So this is still pretty much in here, 88, yeah. So it pretty much falls into this. So for me, let's see what happens. I want to see a bounce, whether it's here or wherever. I want to see a bounce, and I want to see this confirm as resistance, because there's always a chance we could do something like this. So something like this, let's say it rejects, comes down, but it's a higher low, comes back, comes into range, comes up, makes this support. Yeah, this is very possible. What is it, 104? So, and it can go up to the levels we talked about, maybe 106,000 right here, since we're drawing this in real time. So there's another level to watch here. But generally speaking, I'm not convinced this is the end. I'm not saying it's not, and whoever called to get out, great, so did we. As soon as the factor line turned red, on the daily especially, it was time to get out, and it wasn't time to get back in. Yes, we tried to get back in on the 100K level, because it was very easy level to see and work. Because right here, it was very easy. This range over here. Because look, over 100K, great. Under 100K, shit. Very easy stuff, right? So this is what we're waiting for. So let's put this into context real quick. Let's put this into context in a few sentences. What are the crypto factors views? Number one, is this a bear market? Look, I've been saying we're gonna get into what looks like a bear market. This is not a confirmed bear market. I don't see any technicals that say this is a bear market. It definitely is a flush down. It definitely is dangerous. It definitely looks like a bear market and can become a bear market, but it's not a bear market yet. 30, 40, even 50% down corrections happen in Bitcoin in bull markets. Yes, the probabilities that it's a bear market are going up significantly. And maybe there are more probabilities that it is, but I am not ready to call this a bear market just yet. Do I believe we're gonna have some sort of rally? Yes, and if it is a bear market, I believe we're gonna have a rally right up to this line. I just noticed it falls into the heads and shoulders that I was talking about earlier on in the video. This over here, this would show a massive heads and shoulder potential, which is what I would expect, or how I would expect a bear market like this to end. So let me choose a better color here, right? So left shoulder, down, head, down, right shoulder. This is what I want to see. And if this starts coming down, then yes, potential heads and shoulders break. And once this level, the bottom breaks again, then yes, it's a bear market, prolonged downside. But until that happens, I believe we still have a chance for at least another run to make that heads and shoulders, or a little bit before to actually get out to be able. Selling now wouldn't make sense in other words, is what I'm trying to tell you. Wait for those levels, protect yourself, reestablish, reevaluate. That is what I'm saying. And if this happens, if this plays out, that might trigger a selective alt season. And just so nobody gets confused, I'm looking at 3 narratives. One is AI, but before that is privacy and also perpetual dexes. Those are the narratives I'm looking at. Those are the narratives we were calling. We got the narratives right. We didn't get the alt season, the full-blown alt season. We got the mini alt seasons right. We got all levels, all predictions right, except this that's happening right now. But I was very worried about this because we didn't see that 30-40% drop in Bitcoin. This may be it. This may be what we need to get that final leg up, or to at least make some profits before the end, before the bear market, which I've been saying will start when? End of 2025, beginning 2026. Let's see what happens. Archie, man, I really respect you. Maybe you out-called me, and congratulations. I'm not ready to make the call yet. Call it denial. Call it clown. People should unsubscribe. Yes, maybe you should. If I'm wrong, maybe you should. Maybe the 80% of calls we got correct are not enough to justify a wrong call. But it's not a wrong call. It's not. Even if we go down, you have to at least take this into consideration, because there is still money to be made on the upside, even if it's short-lived. Thank you very much. Make sure you check out Archie. He's on Twitter. Please, right now, or X, sorry, this is Archie. He's very, very good calls. 21 years old, very good for a 21-year-old investor. You know what I feel about ages. Archie's an exception over here. I think is extremely good. Follow him on X. You can also follow me on X, MC Paul D, and make sure you follow both of us on YouTube. I'll try and remember to leave the links in the description down below. Thank you very much. Make sure you watch this video right here. If you want to learn how to be a contrarian, if you want to know myths that are busted, that people talk about, that are busted in crypto, make sure you watch this video here, especially if this video turns out to be right. Make sure you watch this video. Love you, and I'll see you there.